Yeah, let the big dog hunt, Logan. Everybody, welcome to another episode of Kallas Remarks with your host Joe Staszak, and of course my esteemed co-hosts Johnny and Steve Kallas. What do you say, fellas? What's going on?
Good to
Great
be
to
with
be
you
with you.
guys.
You two fellas, week off before the big game. Seattle and New England, 4.5 points is what Vegas says separates these two. Um, if you're into that kind of thing, we'll get to that probably later in the week. We'll start, previewing the big game. I know Johnny, your squad's back, although the country, I think, is leaning towards Seattle. We'll talk about that. But I want to talk about probably the news of the week in the sports world, but NFL specifically. This is why I hate this other stuff that has nothing to do with the outcome of actual games. The Hall of Fame. So Bill Belichick gets denied. He's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. First of all, Johnny, I'll start with you, obviously. I mean, that's your guy. Does it matter if, you're in Cannes someday and you're wearing a yellow blazer and you're giving a speech? If you're not a first ballot guy, you're in there and he's going to get in. But I think the voters kind of are penalizing him for maybe, Spygate and some other nefarious things that may have gone on during his tenure with New England. But come on, six Super Bowls, and he won two as a defensive coordinator with Bill Parcells and the Giants. It's a no-brainer. But he's not in. Does it matter if you're a first ballot? And what do you think of the process? And what do you think of the voters punishing Bill Belichick for, again, some transgressions back in the day?
I think it matters. I think it mattered a lot more before. Also, to me, not as bad as a mess up, but still a really bad one when they didn't put T.O. in on the first ballot, who is obviously a clearly first ballot Hall of Famer. But the difference between T.O. and Bill Belichick is 8 Super Bowls, as you said. And the reason I think it matters a little bit is how do you differentiate between these guys in the Hall of Fame? They already left too many guys to get in to begin with, which was the Deion Sanders critique from, I think, 8 or 9 years ago. They have these rules to get fewer guys in now, which I think, and I'll try and explain it, I think played a role, not the deciding role, but a role in Belichick not getting in. Um, but, first ballot Hall of Famer is the way you think you would differentiate some of these guys. But now you can't do that because this is just, I mean, it really delegitimizes the Hall of Fame. It delegitimizes the process. And what's really sad is for the guys who have yellow jackets, it delegitimizes the jacket. So I think it's an absolute travesty. Um, there's been a few different reasons cited for why Belichick didn't get in. One is for the first time they grouped the coaches and with the contributors and with the senior players. So I don't know if you guys knew about this, but basically there were five guys who were finalists. You can only vote for three, and then you still needed to get 80% of the votes. So there was at least one reporter, I think from Kansas City, I forget who claims that the reason he didn't vote for Belichick is he gave his vote. Now, the contributor, by the way, is Robert Kraft. That's another whole dynamic. But the reason he didn't vote for Belichick is because he gave the three senior players his vote because they might not be on the ballot much longer. Now, do you buy that? Do you not? I don't know. I think it's ridiculous if you have a clear first ballot Hall of Famer, you need to put him in, but that's what he claimed. There are other guys, mostly centered around the city of Indianapolis, not surprisingly, who, basically didn't put him in, they say, for his role in Spygate. Now, this is, do you believe Bill Polian or not, who keeps switching every which way? Bill Polian first said he absolutely voted him in. Then he said he was 95% sure, but he couldn't remember that he voted him in. Now he said that he's totally voted him in. Bill Polian has historically hated Belichick. Remember, this is the architect also of the Bills teams that lost four in a row. What's the one Super Bowl they had a chance at winning in that 4 year stretch? The one where Belichick devised a game plan that I believe is sitting where? I think it's in Canton. The irony around here just it's
And,
too
and don't
much.
forget, Johnny, don't forget, they carry, well, you weren't there back then, of course, but they carried Belichick off the field when they won that Super Bowl. The Giants carried Belichick. Parcells is great, Hall of Famer, but they carried Belichick because he had the greatest defense ever for an incredible offensive team.
And
20.
then No, absolutely. And, we have to let Thomas get 100 yards, et cetera. And they ended up, holding that offense at bay. So, and then obviously Polian, Wickersham, who does a great job. I mean, Wickersham's always on the money. He's the one who broke the story to begin with, that Belichick's not in the Hall of Fame. Basically said that Polian was encouraging us, we need to punish this guy for a year because of Spygate. And Polian, of course, led the Colts that completely underachieved to only have one Super Bowl in a 12 plus year run with Peyton Manning as quarterback, largely because they were playing against Patriots, the cheating Patriots. So I think it's absolutely, I think the process is totally flawed. Just have a yes or no vote to all these guys. If you get 80%, you're in. If you don't, you're out. Um, but I also think the notion that this is because of cheating is ridiculous. These guys just don't like Belichick. That's why they didn't vote him in. It's not because of cheating. It's not because of some process. They just don't like him. They don't like, how smug he is with the reporters. They don't really like anything about him. And that's ultimately why I think he didn't get into the Hall of Fame. And it really is just a travesty. Just the other thing, if you're keeping Belichick, and just let's remember something about. Look, there are some holier than art thou people who, if you cheat, then you're automatically out, or you shouldn't get in. Now, I don't know, is it a 1 year ban? Is it a 5 year ban? Is it a 25-year ban? Belichick and the Patriots were punished for these things, so that's not exactly clear to me. Um, but I do think the outcome matters a little bit. As a Patriot fan, I kind of wish a gate comes up because they usually perform pretty well after them. After Spygate, they won their next 17 games. Granted, they lost to Steve's Giants in the Super Bowl. After Deflategate, they won the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. They won three of the following five Super Bowls. After Brady got suspended, they came back from 28 to 3. So, Spygate, if you look at Spygate theoretically helps the offense, right? You're filming the defensive play calls. If you look at Tom Brady's passing statistics pre and post Spygate, it tells you the opposite story of what you want to think. Anyways, I know it's not only about the outcomes, but the point I'm trying to get to, and then I'll stop for a second. If you're not letting, if you're penalizing Bill Belichick for quote unquote cheating, what are you going to do in 2 years when TB12 comes down the line? Are we going to penalize him? Is Tom Brady widely considered by far the greatest player in NFL history, more Super Bowls than any franchise? At least for another week. We'll see what happens in a week. Is he going to be penalized a year? Is that how absurd we're getting? Now, do I think there's a difference between Deflategate and Spygate? Yes, we can get into that. But are the voters going to be consistent on that? It's clear he's not going to be unanimous, which is a shame if you have some of these guys from Indy getting the way they want to get. Anyways, I'm sorry, I could go on. I covered too much ground there. But I think ultimately, it to me delegitimizes and reminds me I don't care much about awards that are voted on.
Right.
Show me what you did on the field. And
Right.
that goes for MVP.
Agreed.
It goes for Pro Bowl. I mean, look at these guys. They're electing the Pro Bowl now. Joe Flacco finally got his first Pro Bowl. Um, but even now, as sad as it is, even now, and I think especially it goes for the Hall of Fame, I don't care what awards that are voted on by. Look, I know you can't have the players vote on it because there are some problems there, but to me, the press isn't that much better if you're not putting in Bill Belichick first ballot.
Steve.
Well, I mean, he's 100% right. And I mean, you saw the results. You saw Patrick Mahomes, what he wrote, LeBron James,
Yeah.
something, and that Tom Brady, of course. Um, no, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. It's embarrassing. And you can't get anybody to raise their hand and say, I voted against him. Here's my reasons why. There's at least 11 guys, right? You have to get 40 out of 50.
There are a couple people who have said why. One of them said because he cheated. The other one said because of this process, like I explained, where he voted for the three senior guys because they couldn't get, they might not have another opportunity. But yeah,
I think it should be, I think they should know their votes are going to be made public and their names are going to be made public with the votes before all this happens. And then you won't have this
100%.
kind of explanation, maybe. And no, look, it's a travesty. I don't really have much to add, except I think I had one thing, Johnny. So yeah, I saw Wickersham. Is that his name? I think he was on ESPN,
Yeah.
wasn't he, there for an interview? And he gave all this stuff. But you know, it's like I was just looking up Ted Williams. He was the first ballot Hall of Famer, but he lost two MVPs. I think when he won the Triple Crown both times because the writers hated him. And the Boston Red Sox writer, when they had to go 1 through 10, he didn't even put them in 1 through 10. He lost by 1 point to I
His
think,
own hometown press.
yeah, no, because they hated him. But I just looked it up now. But when his first ballot Hall of Fame, 93% of the vote. I mean, keep in mind in baseball, we think 75% is high. But in football, when it's 80% and there's only 50 votes, that's very high. But again, it should have been a no-brainer. The other thing I'll say, and I don't know if anybody would admit to this, even if they did it, but it did happen in baseball where some guys did admit to it, and that is, I didn't vote for him because I knew he was going to get in, and I wanted to give some other guys a chance. And that's what you're saying about. I guess I didn't realize what you said about these other guys. Well, you can't mix all these people in the same stew, for lack of a better word. I mean, you really should have
It's terrible.
a stew for coaches, a stew for players, a stew for contributors, whatever that is. That's always questionable to me. It's more like a popularity contest sometimes. But, Belichick apparently the only thing he said was he was puzzled and disappointed. Did he talk after that, Joe? That was the initial result that Wickersham talked about.
That's it.
And I'll even step back a little from the Hall of Fame per se, but whatever you think of Rex Ryan, and I don't think a whole lot of Rex Ryan, but whatever you think of Rex Ryan, he was like, why didn't the Buffalo Bills call up Bill Belichick? Why didn't any of these? There's 8, 9, 10 teams looking for a coach, and nobody called up Bill Belichick. Now, he's got an incredible contact at North Carolina. Maybe he's decided to walk away. I always thought he'd coach till he beat Shula. And don't forget, there could be a Shula factor here, Johnny, because Shula is the one guy, 13 more wins than Belichick, which doesn't seem like a whole lot nowadays, especially in a 17-game schedule. It's 1.5 seasons if you have a decent team. Um, he not only badmouthed Belichick, he publicly called him a cheater.
Yeah.
And I would think for the old timers who vote, again, that's why I'd love to see the list. Tell me how old these guys were voting. They might have been influenced by Shula when he was alive, saying this guy cheated. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame at all, or whatever Shula said in private. In public, he said he cheated, and he was always worried. And maybe that year when the Patriots were 18-0, he was super worried. I think he was still alive then, but whatever. There's so many factors we're never going to know about, and yeah, I think you're right about Bill Polian. I think he's the kind of guy who would do that. And he lost 4 Super Bowls in a row when he was becoming his own Hall of Fame guy. I don't know if he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's just very sad, and I agree with everything everybody's saying about how it just makes the Hall of Fame a lot smaller. It just does.
And can I say a couple more things, Joe?
Yeah,
Or
sure, John, go ahead.
no, I think there's the other interesting dynamic here is Kraft, right? Kraft has, look, if Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame, Robert Kraft should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago.
Right.
Kraft has double the Super Bowls, and he might add a seventh. Jerry Jones, this is how crazy these guys. Jerry Jones was talking about how his dream, this was like 2 weeks ago, is to retire as the owner with the most Super Bowls. He's at least 3 down to Kraft, and he might be 4 down. Anyways, so if
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame now, Kraft has it's widely documented. He's launched a campaign for 15 years that turned a lot of voters off to get him in. How ironic would it be? And Bill Polian is, even though he hates Bill Belichick, him and Bob Kraft are very close, believe it or not. How ironic would it be if Robert Kraft gets into the Hall of Fame this year and Bill Belichick doesn't, considering the tension between those two? That'll look a little bit odd. I don't know if Kraft will get in. He absolutely should, but he should not get in over Belichick. Kraft should have to wait another year or two for Belichick to get in. Ideally, it would be kind of a funny scene if they both went in together. That won't be happening this year. Maybe it'll happen next year. We'll have to see. The other just component that I want to mention, if you had to name one guy to tell you about the history of the NFL, who is it? It's
There's
Bill
only
Belichick.
one.
Who did they bring in for NFL 100, NFL Network when they did the top 100 players of all time back in 2019? Bill Belichick. Who visited Canton, like did a pilgrimage on an annual or multiple times a year when he worked as a head coach for the Cleveland Browns, right up Interstate 77 or whatever it is. Bill Belichick. So it is also, look, Belichick, he's done a lot of some weird stuff of late, and I don't think that should play a role, and I hope that it didn't. And he obviously hasn't had much success as a coach the last few years, but once again, should not play a role at all in this. But it is pretty sad that the guy who I think has forgotten more about the history of the NFL than if you put the next 10 guys who know the most about it into a room combined, is somebody who's going to have to wait a year because he is actually somebody who really appreciates the deep legacy that Canton has to offer or used to have to offer.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Never ceases to amaze me. These Hall of Fame things, and in some other sports too, that they're letting guys in who are like good. It should be about elite, but
Well, Joe,
anyway,
what do you think, Joe? I mean, you're actually a fan of a team that allegedly was punished in a way by the Patriots, quote unquote, nefarious activity. Just to get into it, right? You know, Super Bowl 39 at the heart of when the Spygate. I mean, what I'm curious if what are your thoughts on it?
they had opportunities to win that game. Donovan threw that pick early. I'm not. I mean, if they were stealing signs, and yeah, a lot of stuff came out afterwards, and some of the Eagle players were like, they're calling out our plays like they know our plays, but they had opportunities to win that game. In fact, I think they went to Belichick's. It was started. Their defense was a 2-5. I think initially started out with two guys up front and like very Belichickian. But they had opportunities to win the game, and they got down deep. And Donovan threw an interception, and I know he threw three that day. One was like to Rodney Harrison when they were like 90 yards away with time running out, but he didn't play great. It was tied at half. The Patriots did their thing, so that didn't bother me too much, to be honest with you. I just think that those things are a little overblown. Yeah, maybe okay, it was against the rules or whatever they were doing. To me, it wasn't necessary. Like I think Kraft called Belichick a schmuck one day when he walked into the office and said, "How?" Because it started to blow up. Like I don't know if you saw that documentary, and he said, "How much difference does it make?" Doing what they're saying that you did, 1%, and he goes, "You're a real schmuck," you know that. But that's how competitive I guess Bill Belichick is. I don't think it was necessary. He had Tom Brady, and he's Bill Belichick, so I never didn't bother me all that much. I was just always amazed at watching them play. I mean, it was annoying that we lost to them there. Maybe get a little revenge in Super Bowl. What was it, 52, when Brady threw for 505 yards and lost. Um, you
In
know,
Belichick's worst coaching decision, I think, ever.
Malcolm Butler.
Yeah, for sure. But he got back for it the next year, holding the Rams to 3 points. So
The
Belichick,
3 points, right?
full circle with him.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, they've done such amazing, amazing things. Why isn't he getting offers? Well, his age maybe, and people watched the last few years with him in New England without Tom Brady, and his record obviously wasn't good. And maybe those couple things, kind of come into play. Teams nowadays like offensive guys. I think maybe that's a thing in younger guys. But it's a little weird that Belichick didn't get the Atlanta job, and then they just fired, Morris down there for not getting it done. I'm not sure what Bill Belichick would have done in Atlanta. Again, show me a great coach who didn't have a great quarterback, and he wouldn't have had one in Atlanta. I don't know who's slinging for him down in North Carolina, but he needs some help down. He needs some help down there as well. All right. The game obviously next week, 4.5 point line, and Drake May shoulder. Give us a report. What's going on? He's a little banged up. His shoulder's a little banged up, Johnny.
His shoulder's a little banged up. They're making a big deal out of it in New England. Vrabel's saying it's not, and it's hard to tell. Is it a real problem or is it just, he's a second year player going into game 20 of an NFL season? He was sick yesterday. He had some illness. I'm not sure, Steve, if you know exactly what that illness was, but he missed practice. So obviously the big stuff is next week.
Yeah, he'll be fine. I mean, he'll be fine. And obviously, yeah, second year player, 20 games right now. You're banged up. I don't care who you are. I told you, Sheldon Brown, after week one, he's telling me so that nobody is healthy in the NFL. So it's just different levels. And the 2 weeks off is going to help everybody. But so game next week, last game of the season, and we'll get into that this week coming up, previewing Super Bowl with the Patriots and the Seahawks. Little NBA, Steve. I know you wanted to throw some stuff in with the NBA.
A little bit. Jokic comes back last night. He missed 16 games. Has 31 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. They beat the Clippers, who have a not good record, but have been playing better of late. But it's interesting because because Jokic came back, and I wonder because he came back early, they said, but I wonder if he came back early because he can't win any awards if he misses one more game. You know that rule was it
Yeah,
65 games or whatever it is,
65, I
and
think.
and it's supposed to be so you're not going to
Load
take an
management.
extra day off, load management. Um, but this guy, one of the greatest competitors ever, and the notion that he was doing this on purpose, and that if he played 63 games or 64 games instead of 65, he's disqualified from everything. So I think that's crazy. But again, it's good to see him healthy. They're 33 and 16, Denver, 10 and I think they were 10 and 6 without him, which is much better than they usually are. The other big story, which I don't think is going to happen, is where's the Greek Freak going, if anywhere? And all I've seen, Johnny, and tell me if you know differently, but all I've seen now the Knicks are in the mix, but all I've seen is that it's much better for the Bucks to wait till the end of the year because they'll be able to get more draft picks. They'll know who's going to be high in the draft, who's not going to be high in the draft. They've already waved the white flag this year, and I think now Antetokounmpo is out for like a number of weeks because he got hurt. I thought the first time with the calf, yeah, I thought the first time with the calf was just seemed a little phony.
Like
Uh,
Harden, remember when he was trying to get out of the Nets, he got traded. All of a sudden, he's healthy.
yeah.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden he's back in
Um,
the lineup.
but I know everybody's making a big deal. The trade deadline ends on Thursday. I think it's 3 o'clock Thursday, but it's certainly Thursday afternoon. And I think they're going to have to get the world's greatest offer to send him. And I don't know exactly all what's up with the Knicks in terms of draft picks, but I think they've traded a bunch of theirs. Uh,
Bridges.
you have to know how much you can give away because you're going to have to give away. And um, apparently now what they're looking for is a star young player plus a boatload of draft picks. Now, I don't know who the Knicks have who would even fit that star young player. I don't know who that would be on the Knicks because Brunson's been around, Cat's been around. I don't know who else would really be like a star. I love Bridges. I don't know if he's a star, but I love him because he can defend. I don't think that's going to happen at all based on what I'm hearing. And I think that's going to be a problem. The other thing I want to talk about briefly, this is interesting, and apparently Oscar never did this, Joe. Uh, Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, yesterday,
Didn't he have a triple double in the first half?
and it's the second time he's done it in his career, and nobody has ever done it. Nobody else in the history of basketball has done it. Now, to me, if Wilt or Oscar was told triple double, it's a really big thing, and nobody's ever done it in the one half. I think they could have done it if they wanted to do it. Again, they're always, when you look at their records, and I was actually looking at Wilt's because when they said Cooper Flagg scored 49 and nobody, I was like, well, what about Wilt when he was a rookie or Oscar when he was a rookie? But these guys were already in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't their fault. They couldn't get out and go.
Or Kareem.
Yeah.
Or Kareem.
Kareem,
And
definitely.
so I don't know. It's just hard to see some of the things. I think the other one, I think I had one.
Could I just say
Go
real
ahead.
quick?
Yeah.
I would love, I don't think this will happen, but LeBron played what could very well be his last game in Cleveland, played horribly. The Cavs that killed him. This was just a few days ago. I think LeBron would be a much better fit this year on Cleveland.
Totally.
It would be awesome if to end his career. Now he might want to play another year, though he's going to have to take a huge pay cut to keep it with the Lakers. And I think the Lakers want to move in a different direction, ideally, probably, and just center around Luka and Reeves. But I'd love to see LeBron traded to Cleveland because Cleveland, the East is wide open because the Knicks are playing horribly. The East is wide open. And why not have one last run? And he would fit in real well with that team, playing with Donovan and Mobley and Garland and those
Sure.
guys. Allen, I mean, they could ship something for him. They could give him one of those two big guys, Allen or Mobley, that LA could really use. I think that could be a win-win. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know if LeBron wants to leave his family now in Southern California, but
Exactly, right?
obviously he has family in Cleveland.
He
Let me
does.
just correct myself. Jokic can miss one more game, but if he misses two, he's done. I mean, it's just beyond stupid to me, but that's what these are. I mean, people just make up these numbers. We all agree you don't want to pay $500 for a ticket somewhere, show up in the store you went to see. when Johnny was little, Allen Houston was his favorite player, and we spent a fortune to get 4 tickets to go to the Garden. And before the game, they announced Allen Houston won't play. He's got a stomach ache.
Ah.
Like,
LeBron's going to Indiana in a couple months if he's still with the Lakers, and I won't really want to go see him, but that's my one hiccup. What if he's not going to
Yeah,
play that day?
exactly.
and it's a consideration nowadays. You just don't know.
Sure it is.
I did want to give you one more, Joe. This is what bothers me about today. I know I'm old. So Kevin Durant, and I don't know, maybe you guys heard this, but Kevin Durant, Wednesday night, Spurs beat the Rockets, and Kevin Durant hit a three-pointer that breaks his tie. This is what they said on Sports Center. Now, again, I don't know who these people are on Sports Center now. They just look different to me, or I don't know how much they know, or how much they study, or how much history they know. But and I don't even remember the name of the person who said this, but they said uh, they showed KD hitting the three, and they said, by the way, uh, that that three that KD just made breaks the tie with Vince Carter for 10th place all time, all time in 3-point shots. All time? Come on, Joe. All time? No, not all time. Since 1986.
Well, yeah, since the three-point shot has been
Come
invented.
on. All time history of the NBA. You see these things, you just shake. They should just say, since 3-pointers became 1986. I'm pretty sure it was because
It was 80. I thought it was earlier than that.
do
What,
you?
well,
Is
Pete
that what?
Maravich went 6 for 9 his final year in the NBA. He wasn't playing in 86, was he?
Oh, I think you're right. Maybe it was 80.
It was the early 80s, I think. I don't mean to.
It was the first year they had. The first year they had 3 points. He went 6 for 9. So he's the greatest 3-point shooter who ever lived, right, Joe?
Percentage-wise,
No,
minimum nine shots.
I'm just saying, give me, when it's history, give me anytime any triple double thing is said, you should say, well, they never had triple doubles until I don't know when that was either, but you can go back and look. I don't know. These things just bother me because they're bothersome. I mean, for all time, for the history of the NBA, all time, give me a break. I'm not taking anything away from those guys. Don't get me wrong, but it's just, well, what if they were playing today? What if Jerry West was playing? He's the one I'd pick over even Oscar for 3-point shots, but that's just me being old.
Good stuff, Steve. Good stuff, Johnny. We'll be back in a few days to preview.
Did I get 90 seconds on the NHL?
Sure.
So Patrick Kane, who, if anybody knows anything, knows Patrick Kane won 3 cups with the Chicago Blackhawks and played forever.
I've heard of him.
I saw him the other day in a Red Wings uniform. He's been there 3 years now, and you still look at him in a Red Wings uniform, and you're like, what?
He's out of place.
Okay, so he got an assist Thursday night, and he got 1 point more than Mike Modano. His assist gave him 1,375 points. He's now the all-time leading American, born in America scorer. And again, if you're as old as me, when I was little, there was one guy in the NHL who was from America. That was Tommy Williams of the Bruins. And he was like a national hero, even if you lived in New York as opposed to Boston. But now over the years, obviously, they all come from Europe. They all come from the U.S. Patrick Kane already has 500. He got his 500th goal this year. And now he's got 875 assists to become the all-time leading American-born point scorer in the NHL. I think that's a big achievement. And I think, Joe, aren't we the only people who are doing the Ovechkin 1,000 goal countdown? Because he's got 900. He's got 22 goals in 55 games. He's got 919 goals. I think if he wants to play, I think he can get there because he's got 22 goals in 55 games. That could level out to like 33 goals in, 82 games or whatever they play now. One other thing, John Cooper, Tampa Bay coach. There's an outdoor game in Tampa Bay on Sunday, 6:30 against the Bruins, and they're afraid it's going to snow in Tampa Bay because the weather's been.
It is cold down in Florida, but it's not snowing. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, I just think, look, I love those outdoor games. Outdoor games, they're great, but I'm just saying it's just kind of funny. But I still watch those when they're on TV. I watch them.
I do too. It's kind
I
of
don't want to go to one because it's always freezing.
Yeah. I went to one in Annapolis. It was freezing. Freezing. I watched the Caps in Toronto. Freezing. So, but it's cool. It is cool. The outdoor game's pretty cool, and
Oh,
especially how they
by the
pull it
way,
off in South Florida.
Ovechkin there the other day when LeBron was there and they traded jerseys after the game. He went to watch the Wizards,
Oh,
Ovechkin.
is that right? Oh, that's very
Yeah,
cool.
that is cool. They're
It's
terrible. The Wizards are terrible, I mean, but that's what they showed. Whatever.
Love it. All right, good stuff, fellas. Super Bowl next week. We'll be back to preview it in a few days. You can check out Steve's stuff daily on the Facebook forum page, Speaking of Sports with Steve Kallas, and this podcast on YouTube and all the audio outlets. And you can follow me on Instagram at Joe Staszak 4799 or on Twitter X at Joe Staszak 975. Appreciate you being with us, Johnny, once again. Steve as well. We'll be back again for the big game. Patriots and Seahawks, 6:30 from Santa Clara next Sunday to wrap up the NFL season 2025 and 2026. Good stuff, fellas. Thanks
Always a
again.
pleasure.
You too, guys. Appreciate watching, folks, and we will catch you next time.